1. The Library of Alexandria's massive knowledge picture this. In ancient Egypt, there stood a marvel that wasn't a pyramid or a sphinx, but something far more powerful, the Great Library of Alexandria. This wasn't just any library, it was humanity's first real attempt to gather all the world's knowledge under one roof. Walking through its grand halls, you would have found yourself surrounded by hundreds of thousands of scrolls, somewhere between 400,000 and 700,000 to be more precise. But these weren't just random pieces of parchment. Each scroll was a treasure trove of human wisdom, from philosophical debates that still influence us today, to historical accounts of civilizations we can now only imagine. Imagine being able to read the personal thoughts of ancient scholars, their discoveries, their theories about the universe, their understanding of the human body. The library housed texts about mathematics that could have revolutionized early engineering, and scientific insights that could have accelerated human progress by centuries. But here's where the story takes a tragic turn. This incredible collection, this lighthouse of human knowledge, was gradually destroyed through a series of catastrophic events, fires, wars, and time itself. The loss was devastating. It's like accidentally deleting the world's most important hard drive, except there was no backup. When we think about what was lost, it's not just the scrolls themselves, it's the potential they held. Who knows what cures for diseases were documented there? What advanced mathematical concepts were explained? What historical events were recorded that we'll never know about? Some scholars believe we might have reached our current level of scientific understanding centuries earlier if the library had survived. Today, all we can do is wonder about the countless breakthroughs and innovations that went up in smoke. It's a powerful reminder of how fragile knowledge can be, and why preserving it is so crucial. The Library of Alexandria may be gone, but its legacy lives on in every modern library, digital archive, and effort to preserve human knowledge for future generations. First Black Pharaohs of Egypt. The 25th dynasty of Egypt was ruled by Nubian Sudanese kings. These African rulers were once downplayed or omitted in Western history due to racial bias. When you think of ancient Egyptian pharaohs, what image comes to mind? For many, it's the golden masks and grand pyramids we've seen in museums and history books. But there's a fascinating chapter of Egyptian history that was almost erased from our collective memory, the story of the Black Pharaohs. Around 750 BCE, powerful kings from Nubia, in what is now Sudan, rose to power and established the 25th dynasty of Egypt. These weren't just any rulers. They were skilled warriors and sophisticated leaders who saw themselves as the true guardians of Egyptian culture and tradition. Picture this. At a time when Egypt was divided and weakened, these Nubian kings united the land, restored ancient monuments, and built magnificent pyramids that still stand today in modern Sudan. Their most famous ruler, Pa, led his armies north from his capital at Napata, bringing all of Egypt under his control, ruling a territory that stretched along the Nile Valley for over 1,000 miles. But here's where the story takes a troubling turn. For centuries, Western historians either downplayed or completely ignored these powerful African pharaohs. Why? Simply because of racial prejudice. The idea that Black African rulers had once governed one of the world's greatest civilizations didn't fit with their biased worldview. Today, thanks to modern archaeology and changing perspectives, we're finally giving these remarkable rulers their rightful place in history. The Black Pharaohs weren't just conquerors, they were preservers of culture, builders of monuments, and legitimate heirs to the pharaonic tradition. Their legacy reminds us that history isn't always what we've been told. Sometimes the most remarkable stories are the ones that were hidden away, waiting to be rediscovered and retold. The Black Pharaohs of Egypt stand as a powerful testament to Africa's profound role in shaping human civilization, and their story continues to inspire and educate us today. 3. The real story of Nikola Tesla. Tesla pioneered wireless energy, AC electricity, and possibly free energy. Many of his inventions were suppressed, and Edison took credit for some breakthroughs. Let me tell you the fascinating yet tragic story of one of history's most brilliant minds, Nikola Tesla. While most people know Thomas Edison as the father of electricity, the real game changer was actually a Serbian-American inventor named Tesla. Imagine being able to power your entire house without a single wire, or having access to completely free energy. These weren't just dreams. Tesla was actually working on making them reality over a century ago. His most groundbreaking achievement was alternating current, or AC electricity, which is what powers our homes today. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Tesla was decades ahead of his time. He demonstrated wireless energy transmission in 1893, lighting up bulbs from across a room without any wires. He even built the Wardenclyffe Tower, which he claimed could transmit electricity wirelessly across the globe. Just think about that. Free energy for everyone, anywhere on Earth. But here's where the story takes a dark turn. Many of Tesla's revolutionary inventions were actively suppressed by powerful business interests, particularly Thomas Edison. Edison, who was heavily invested in direct current DC electricity, launched a vicious campaign against Tesla's superior AC system. He even electrocuted animals in public to try to prove AC was dangerous. Talk about playing dirty. Edison didn't stop there. He took credit for numerous breakthroughs that were actually Tesla's work. While Edison became wealthy and famous. 4. Ancient matriarchal societies. Prehistoric and early civilizations like the Minoans had women in positions of leadership. Patriarchal systems later rewrote history to diminish their influence. When we think of ancient civilizations, we often picture powerful kings and male rulers. But what if I told you that some of the earliest human societies were actually led by women? It's a fascinating truth that's been buried beneath layers of historical revision. Let's journey back thousands of years to the island of Crete, home to the mysterious Minoan civilization. Here, archaeological evidence tells us an incredible story. The walls of their magnificent palaces are adorned with frescoes showing women in positions of power, priestesses, rulers, and civic leaders. These weren't just decorative figures. They were representations of the actual power structure of their society. But the Minoans weren't alone. From the steppes of ancient Ukraine to the fertile valleys of old Europe, archaeologists have uncovered evidence of numerous societies where women held the reins of power. These communities weren't just surviving, they were thriving, creating sophisticated art, developing advanced agricultural techniques, and building impressive cities. So why don't we hear more about these matriarchal societies in our history books? Well, here's where things get interesting. As later patriarchal civilizations rose to dominance, particularly in the Bronze and Iron Ages, they didn't just conquer territories, they rewrote history. They systematically diminished or entirely erased the roles women played in earlier societies. Think about it. Most of our written historical records come from periods when men held power. It's like trying to understand a story when someone has deliberately torn out half the pages. The evidence of these matriarchal societies exists in archaeology, in artifacts, in ancient symbols and structures, but their voices were silenced in the written record. This isn't just ancient history, it's a powerful reminder of how the stories we tell about our past shape our understanding of what's possible in the present. When we uncover these hidden histories of women in power, we're not just correcting the record, we're expanding our vision of human potential and challenging assumptions about natural, social orders that have been used to justify inequality for centuries. The next time someone tells you that male dominance is just the way things have always been, remember the priestesses of Crete, the forgotten queens of old Europe, and countless other women leaders whose stories are waiting to be rediscovered. 5. Burning of indigenous knowledge in the Americas. Spanish conquistadors destroyed thousands of Mayan, Aztec, and Incan codices. Entire civilizations' histories were lost in the name of religious conquest. Imagine holding in your hands a book that contains the secrets of an entire civilization, their stories, their discoveries, their understanding of the world. Now imagine watching that book burn to ashes. This isn't just a dark fantasy. This is what happened during one of history's most devastating acts of cultural destruction. When Spanish conquistadors arrived in the Americas in the 15th and 16th centuries, they encountered sophisticated civilizations with vast libraries of knowledge. The Mayans, Aztecs, and Incas had developed complex writing systems, recording everything from astronomical observations to medical treatments, from historical chronicles to poetry, in their beautifully illustrated codices. But these precious documents were seen as a threat by the Spanish colonizers. To them, these weren't just books, they were symbols of pagan beliefs that needed to be eliminated. Under the banner of religious conversion, they systematically gathered and burned thousands of these irreplaceable manuscripts. Picture this. In 1562, in the Mayan city of Mani, Bishop Diego de Landa ordered a massive bonfire. Into the flames went hundreds of Mayan codices, each one containing centuries of accumulated knowledge. "We found a large number of books," he wrote. and as they contain nothing in which there was not to be seen superstition and lies of the devil, we burned them all. What was lost in those flames? We'll never truly know. Imagine losing the equivalent of multiple public libraries, universities, and historical archives all at once. Medical treatments that might have advanced modern medicine. Astronomical calculations that could have contributed to our understanding of the cosmos. Historical records that could have filled countless gaps in our knowledge of pre-Columbian America, all reduced to ashes. Today, only a handful of pre-Columbian codices survive, 4 from the Maya, less than 15 from the Aztecs, and none from the Inca. Each one is a precious window into lost worlds, making us wonder about the vast ocean of knowledge that was forever erased in those flames. This wasn't just the burning of books, it was the burning of memories, of identities, of entire ways of understanding the world. It stands as a stark reminder of how cultural destruction can create voids in human knowledge that can never be filled, and why preserving knowledge across cultures is so crucial for our collective human story. 6. The African Empire of Great Zimbabwe, a massive stone city in southern Africa built in the 11th century. Colonial archaeologists falsely claimed Africans couldn't have built it. In the heart of southern Africa stands a testament to African ingenuity that colonial powers tried desperately to deny. Great Zimbabwe, a breathtaking city of stone that emerged in the 11th century, featuring walls as tall as modern 3-story buildings, all built without mortar. When European colonists first encountered these ruins, they couldn't, or rather, wouldn't, believe that African people had created such an architectural marvel. They spun tales about ancient Phoenicians or Arabs being the true builders, revealing their deep-seated prejudices. But the truth couldn't be buried. Archaeological evidence proves without doubt that the ancestors of the Shona people constructed this remarkable city. Great Zimbabwe stands today not just as an architectural wonder, but as a powerful symbol of African achievement and a reminder of how historical narratives can be twisted by prejudice. It's time we set the record straight and celebrate this remarkable African legacy.
Enjoying the video, correct? Make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell. Please leave your feedback, hit like, share the content.
7. The true origins of democracy. The Iroquois Confederacy, Native American, had a democratic system that influenced the U.S. Constitution. This contribution was long ignored in American education. Here's something that might surprise you about democracy in America. While we often think it all started with ancient Greece or European philosophers, there's a fascinating truth that's been hidden in plain sight. Long before the U.S. Constitution was written, the Iroquois Confederacy, a powerful alliance of Native American nations, had already created a sophisticated democratic system. Their great law of peace included concepts like checks and balances, equal participation in government, and the power of impeachment. Benjamin Franklin and other founding fathers actually studied this system closely. They were so impressed that they borrowed many of these ideas when crafting our Constitution. Yet for centuries, this incredible Native American influence on American democracy was barely mentioned in our history books. It's time we acknowledge this overlooked chapter of history and give credit where it's truly due. 8. Operation Northwoods, USA, 1962. A declassified U.S. government plan proposed false flag attacks to justify war with Cuba. Never executed but erased from public history until declassification. In 1962, at the height of Cold War tensions, a shocking plan emerged from within the U.S. government that would later become known as Operation Northwoods. Picture this. High-ranking military officials actually proposed staging fake attacks on American soil and blaming them on Cuba. Yes, you heard that right. The plan suggested everything from blowing up U.S. ships in Guantanamo Bay to orchestrating terrorist attacks in American cities, all to create a false pretext for war with Cuba. They even considered staging the shooting down of civilian aircraft to turn public opinion against Castro's regime. But here's the twist. While President Kennedy ultimately rejected this disturbing proposal, the very existence of Operation Northwoods remained hidden from the American public for decades. It wasn't until the documents were declassified that this dark chapter of American history came to light, reminding us that sometimes the most chilling conspiracies aren't theories at all. They're documented facts buried in government archives. 9. The real Columbus story. Christopher Columbus didn't discover America. native peoples lived there for thousands of years. He also enslaved and massacred many, contrary to the heroic version once taught in schools. Let's talk about Christopher Columbus, but not the fairy tale version you might have learned in school. You know the saying, in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue? Well, there's a lot more to that story. Here's the truth. Columbus didn't actually discover America. That's like saying I discovered your house when you've been living there for years. Native Americans had thriving civilizations for thousands of years before any European ships appeared on the horizon. But there's an even darker side to this story that history books often gloss over. Far from being a heroic explorer, Columbus was responsible for enslaving and killing countless indigenous people. When he arrived in the Caribbean, he didn't find the gold and spices he wanted, so he turned to brutal exploitation of the native population. So next time someone talks about Columbus discovering America, remember, you can't discover a place where millions of people already live. 10. Ancient advanced technology theories. Some ancient structures, e.g. pyramids, Baalbek, Sacsayhuaman, were built with extreme precision. Mainstream history often ignores alternative theories about lost advanced knowledge or tools. Have you ever looked at ancient structures and thought, how on earth did they build that? From the perfectly aligned pyramids of Egypt to the massive stone blocks at Baalbek in Lebanon, some of these constructions seem almost impossible to create with primitive tools. Take the fortress of Sacsayhuaman in Peru. We're talking about stones weighing up to 200 tons, cut so precisely that you can't even slip a piece of paper between them. No mortar, just perfect engineering. What's really interesting is that mainstream historians stick to conventional explanations. Simple tools, lots of manpower, and time. But what if there's more to the story? What if our ancestors possessed knowledge or technology that we've somehow lost to time? I'm not saying it was aliens, but maybe, just maybe, we're not giving our ancient ancestors enough credit for their ingenuity and capabilities.